Welcome back to Sports Dump, Lewis County's only sports podcast. We're sponsored by Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery, Goebel Septic, and Americool Heating and Cooling. I'm Aaron Van Tile, joined by Chronicle sports editor Dylan Wilhelm. Dylan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for this one.
Long weekend?
Yeah, fun though.
Yeah, you saw some bangers. We'll get to that.
Great games.
We got two special guests. This is a tradition unlike any other, some would say. The all-time ball knowers, two of our favorites, Chad Cramer and Chris Bannish. Our two finest guys who know 2B basketball are back to help us preview the state basketball playoffs and get their finest takes off. How are you both doing today? Chris, we'll start with you. How you doing?
Doing good. We got our first practice in since getting beat on Saturday, and so we'll put that one behind us and we'll move on.
All right. And Kramer, how are you? What are you up to these days?
I am an assistant coach for the men's team down at Lower Columbia College, so my time is occupied with that as far as outside of work and family. But I do try to make time to catch as many of these games around the county as I can. Most of them in FHS style. Most of it's tape delayed. I just kind of pick a game and watch it. But I do try to watch as much as I can because I still obviously love the local basketball scene.
All right. Now, you two are both, I was thinking about this earlier, how to describe you guys to the casual basketball listener. You are both state champions in your own right. And you've both played, have you both coached in finals games, state finals games?
I have as an assistant. I have not coached as a head coach.
Okay. And you were at semifinals last year? Is that what you guys?
Yeah, we were in the semis last year.
All right.
I've been to semis. I can at least match that. I've been to the semifinals as a head coach.
All right. But you guys are both Spokane veterans. Plenty of time over there. You're familiar with the arena.
It's the best. And like I said, it's what we live for really this next month between March Madness and from right now on, that's all we knew from when we were kids to now.
Absolutely. Last year I had to go. My wife got really mad at me on the way over because we went over as fans last year, obviously. And I think I complained from Morton to Yakima about not having a team and having to go over and go in the front door like a peasant.
Yeah.
As opposed to a player entry, to the point to where my wife said, let's just turn around and go home because I'm not listening to your crap is not the word she used, but because I'm not going to listen to this all the way to Spokane. So let's just turn around and go home if you can't have fun. Well, it took me probably till Friday before I started to enjoy myself. I was pretty upset about not having a team over there.
What was it like going in the front door like a peasant?
Well,
was it degrading?
Yeah, I felt like I needed a shower, honestly, after I walked in with all the peasants. No, it's just, but you go over as a coach, and like Coach Bannish does, it's the best part of coaching is to go to the state tournament. And I was very, very fortunate as I've been over, seven times maybe as a coach. So to go over and not have that, it was a weird feeling. And all of a sudden I got like bummed out. I got a little jealous of everyone. I seriously had a meltdown because, and it's my own fault. I stepped down. I chose to walk away from it. But it's hard to not go and have that because it is once you have it, it is hard not to want to have it every year.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right, we're going to cover things that occurred this weekend. We're going to get this one out of the way first. We're going to go with wrestling. Do you guys watch any wrestling? Track wrestling at all?
I was able to watch the WF West, the Land Kids from WF West. So we watched that live, and that was pretty cool to see for him. But what a tough sport. I mean, to get through that and the grueling practices and all that. I mean, when you're a champion in something like that, I mean, you're a true champion.
Yeah, Tucker Land, who you're talking about, congrats on the state title to him. He won 190 pounds. Great work by the senior star. Do either of you guys think you could beat up Tucker Land? Just like right now, if you walked in. What
do I have for weapons?
You could use that wooden cutout of the Chronicle paperboy.
I'm gonna need more than that.
Yeah, he's tough, man. He had like the photo of him like getting hoisted afterwards. He's got like blood in his mouth. And it's like, God damn, what a tough guy. And then 3 local girls also won. Sloan Kruger from Black Hills. She's been on the hunt all season long. Finished the year 48-0 at 100 pounds to win a championship.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, Kaylee, is it Lamond? Lehman?
I don't know, actually.
Dylan is
Lehman,
not sure.
But I'm not 100% sure.
Kaylee Lehman probably from WF West won at 130. She's the first WF West girls champ ever. She beats Qualicum's Claire Hume in the finals 9-2. And then at 190, Rainier's Chloe Willis won, beating Tenino's, do you know how to pronounce this one? Inavi Rodriguez in the finals. Now we move on to some basketball, where you guys are probably a little more comfortable. In the 2As, WFS dominated everyone, just kind of kicked the crap out of everybody throughout districts. They beat Columbia River in the district finals Friday night down at Kelso. What was the final score of that one? 59-28,
I believe.
Okay. Julia Dalen had 32 points.
24 at half.
Yeah,
27 at half, sorry.
WFS was up 38-12 at halftime. It's their second straight district title. Not bad. Were you down there for that one?
I was.
How'd it look?
Somehow the score's closer than how the game felt. They won by 31. I was sitting there really thinking, are we going to get to a running clock in a district title game? Dalen, they kind of stopped going to her as much in that second half. She probably could have easily got 40 had she needed to if it was a closer game. She had the advantage down low, and they just kept going back to it. She had, I think, 3 or 4 4-point plays, or maybe the fourth she missed the free throw, but still, got the bucket through the foul. Just an insane tournament from her. I think she finished the district tournament with 92 points, which is a new, since at least 2007 officially. I'm sure it goes back further than that, but it's the most of any girl in a 2A D4 tournament. So
pretty good.
Yeah, just insane.
That's an impressive run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. In the 1As, 1A boys, Tenino beat Kingsway Christian 56-53 in overtime. Was that their second straight overtime game? No, they won the one before that by a little more. Austin Gagne had 32 points, and he had 38 in their other one
before, yeah.
Pretty good run for him too. The Beavers are back at state despite an underwhelming 10-13 record. Do you think they have a chip on their shoulder?
I think so.
All right.
They started 2-11, if I remember correctly. Part of it's they were just banged up. Burkhart was missing time. Will Feltus was missing time. As a result, teams were kind of honing in on Gagne. But, with both those guys back, specifically Feltus, like Burkhart, we kind of knew would just kind of command, the post, just like scouted last year. And once he came back, you kind of expected that to get a bump. But Feltus just kind of running the point, I think, is really taking a step this second half of the year. Like you said, at 10-13, we'll talk about it, but it might be an uphill climb. But I wouldn't bet against these guys right now.
What a great job by
Robertson.
Coach Robertson, though. What a great job to right the ship, to hold everyone together and keep them believing, in themselves. And then all of a sudden they get a couple wins, they get some momentum. Kids start really believing and buying in. I'm sure the community got behind them. That's easy to start to root for. And they do that after their best player transfers.
Yeah.
Right? They lost their best player, the transfer to the number one team in the 1As. And to still make the tournament is a feather in the cap for him as a coach and for the program and the players to say, hey, we weren't just one guy. There's more basketball players than just him.
That's Scout went to Annie Wright, right?
Correct.
Yes,
Are we in the trust tree? Can I tell you guys something? Until like a year ago, I thought Annie Wright was a girls' school.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
But the one thing,
on the pulse of the state.
The one thing about it is, to me, Gagne has been the steady Eddie for them. I mean, every time you think they're out, like, he has big games, and you see pictures of him in the paper, and physically, he's the one guy that can stand in there with anybody, and he just gets it done. He can probably play the 2 through 5, but he could also probably play point guard for him if he had to. So what he's done, individually, in my mind, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I talked to Will Feltus after the game, and he's like, well, I'm running things, but most of the time, when in doubt, get the ball to Austin, and he'll do great things.
Exactly.
Like Aaron said, 32 the other day. And then Robertson just had an incredible celebration. Gagne, like 4 seconds left, they're on the opposite baseline, so it would have been a heck of a play to even get a 3 up anyway. But Gagne tips it and then just chucks it down the court. And Robertson just peels off to the baseline, jumping up and down. And then he gets on his knees and just smacks the floor with both hands several times before getting up.
He has always awesome been to see. Such an animated coach on the side of the...
And then he got absolutely drenched in the locker room from every single Gatorade water bottle.
Can I just say, because Ryan's probably going to listen to this, he did not allow for that animation when he was reffing. I just want to point that out. I've seen...
Did you ever have a raised voice conversation with him about it?
I am always calm on the sidelines, so it was never me. I'm relaxing all the time on the sidelines, but I've seen other coaches.
Yeah.
No, he did not allow for that type of animation. I will say that. But I like Ryan. I say that liking Ryan. Obviously, I'm just teasing, but I'm really happy for him. That's a heck of an accomplishment.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the 2Bs. On the boys' side, Toledo knocked off Adna in the district title game. That also went to overtime. I feel like Toledo's played several overtime district championship games. You guys felt like that? Like, I've seen them play in Chehalis in a key district game and have it go to overtime a few times. I know you're thinking of one.
I was a part of one of those. Yeah,
hell of a game.
That's
Is that double overtime?
It was double OT. Yeah,
yeah. That felt like it took 3 hours.
Yeah, weirdly, Brent's now an assistant for Grady. Was a player.
Okay.
Was a player on that team.
Pretty good player. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He could hoop.
Toledo won 60-59. Cooper Fallon had 14 points and 15 rebounds. Yeah, what you were that one?
Yeah. No, honestly, it was a game of runs. Salmi was up 46-39. I remember looking up there, 46-39 with 4:54 to go, and I'm thinking that was kind of the same buffer we had at halftime, but a lot less time to come back, and just a couple lost responsibilities just in talking to him on help the helper stuff and switching. And left them to get free, and they hit timely threes to get back into that. And obviously late, Bo Miller put in a shot to tie it, and then actually Adna had 4 opportunities on out-of-bounds plays, and that was more his frustration today is we had 4 opportunities right there and didn't get a good look. Now, credit Toledo and how they switched or how they protected the hoop, but at the same token, what a game. And that if you look there, that's what the 2B is all about. I had a bunch of buddies that aren't even affiliated with the 2B, and both sides just packed. And what a great finish for both teams. And both are in the top 8 and going to Spokane. And so D4 should be proud of what they put on there.
And I've said this before, but hopefully you guys will agree with me. But that Saturday night in Chehalis is the best atmosphere in Lewis County sports.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. I was so bummed. Last year we had a game, a late game at 7 o'clock, and I wasn't able to go. It's the first district title game I think I missed since I was probably a little boy, and I was super bummed. So when I got the schedule this year, the first thing I did was like, okay, well, hey, I'm like 2 p.m. Like I can make it. But yeah, it's an absolute. I mean, if you've ever been affiliated with, in particular that championship game, I think you find your way back to the gym for that game. You go, and it's always good to see guys there. I didn't think it was a surprise to see those 2 teams in it. I thought in a 2B league that's got a ton of parity. I didn't think there was anybody that was super dominant. I thought that your 2 most experienced coaches are the two guys that guided their teams, to the, both those coaches have been there many times as a coach. I thought it was really no surprise to me to see those 2 coaches find their ways to get back to the district championship game. And my gut says you'll probably get a rematch next year.
All right. Napavine beat Rainier in the 3rd place game. They're both off to state. We'll talk about Rainier and Napavine more when we get to that section of the bracket. On the girls' side, Rainier pulled away in the 4th quarter, broke open a tight game with Adna to win a district title, 44-32. It's the first district title in a while for Rainier.
14 years.
14 years?
They won a 1A. They won back-to-back 1As in 2010, 2011.
Would that have been like Shaner was there? Or was that after that?
That'd be after leave. I'm not sure.
Okay. Brooklyn Swenson scored 13 to lead the way for Rainier. Bannish, you're here. Thoughts?
I mean, it was a defensive battle the whole way. I mean, I think it was 17-11 going in at half. I think we were up 26-19 going into the 4th, and had the momentum. They had the ball, and I talked about getting that first stop. And sadly, at the time, we had held Angelica to 0 points, and Freeman had done a great job there. And she hit a timely. They got an and one. She hit a timely 3, and then I still kick myself for not burning a timeout right after that one because it turned into another 3, and then we fouled them on a 3-point shot. And so it just kind of spiraled, and it spiraled quickly because they have the firepower to do that. And so credit them defensively in the 4th quarter, pushing us around a little bit. But at the same token, we stack up really even at every position. Personnel-wise, we're pretty even across the board. And so credit them. And you know what? Maybe it was good for us. And I liked where we went today with our focus. And both of us have great draws. We got the 1 and 2, and you got to beat somebody at this point in time. So we know that.
All right. And then Napavine beat Monster Rock in the 3rd place game. They're both off to state. We'll get more on them in a bit. I'm sure you guys have some thoughts on Napavine. And then in the 1Bs, PL is still undefeated?
Still undefeated. 21-0.
Dominated Tohola 50-38. They won its first district title in 12 years. I haven't checked the records, but I'm assuming that was an Alyssa Brooks Johnson, Sammy Joe Robinson team.
Yeah,
It's gotta be right.
Gotta be.
that would have been my first year's coaching. They were the team to beat.
They were pretty good. Yeah. And PL moves on. And
Well, real quick here.
You got something
PL,
else?
Well, if I'm PL,
yeah.
my motivation is simple, right? How do I go undefeated and I'm a 7 seed?
Even better, not better for PL. They're the only undefeated team in one.
Right.
league.
So to
Are they
me,
really?
as far as motivating my team and finding some type of chip on my shoulder, right? Whether I'm motivated as a coach and my staff, and then as a team, I got to feel slighted. I go undefeated and I get a 7 seed. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got your 7 seed right over here. You know what I mean? And we'll see how it shakes out, because I would be super offended by that if I was a player or a coach.
Yeah.
And I would be, not that you need extra motivation, you're going to state, but if there ever was to give them some, I would be nervous if I'm Waterville, Mansfield. I'm nervous. I'm like, they're gonna come in here with some pissed offness, and I'd be a little nervous about it.
Yeah, that's a bit of slight for them. We'll get to the brackets here in a second. But first, we got to talk about Goebel Septic. When was the last time you guys used the Goebel Septic
Today.
porta potty? Today? Did you just see one on the drive out here and you're like, you know what?
They're all over at my work, my friend.
You're like, honey, we got to
Scattered across Morton.
I don't have these cush office jobs like you boys. Goebel Septic is at my work.
And how was it?
Facilities were amazing.
Oh my God.
I stayed in there longer than one normally stays in a porta potty just because it was so nice.
45 minutes.
At least, yeah.
Goebel Septic provides portable sanitation and septic service for Thurston, Lewis, Mason, Cowlitz, and Grace Harbor counties. Septic pumping inspection, riser installation, commercial septic pumping, grease trap services, and of course, they'll rent you a porta potty and even a sink to go with it. Visit goebelseptic.com, Goebel septic.com, or call 360-736-2167. All right, get your brackets out, everybody. We're starting on the boys' side. And I guess the way we'll do this is we'll run through. We'll just touch on the local team and then run through the first round matchups real quick. Local team of the 1A boys is Tenino. They are the number 16 seed. They come in with an underwhelming 10-13 record, but as Dylan said, that's because they started 2-11. They will play number 9 Chelan, which is 21-5 in a Friday or Saturday game this week. We don't have dates and times on the. Oh, we do have some of them.
That is
Friday.
Saturday? 10 a.m. in Wenatchee.
Okay. And the 9 through 16 seeds play winner to state, loser out games. The 1 through 8 teams basically play for seeding. The winners of those get a bye into the quarterfinals. The losers have to play the winners of the other 9 to 16 games on Wednesday in either Yakima or Spokane, depending on which tournament we're talking about. So Tenino is playing Chelan with a spot in Yakima on the table. What do you guys think about Tenino's odds here?
Well, here's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for basketball gods to align, to just conspire.
I think I know where you're
I
going.
get Bear Creek to dump Annie Wright and a Tenino Annie Wright matchup in a winner move on, loser out game, because I think that would be fun.
That would be
Drama-filled.
must see viewing, I think. If
Not sure it happens, but that's what I'm rooting for.
the odds of it are probably low. However, that would be pretty
It
sick.
would be fun. At 9 p.m. on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
I talked to Tenino's AD Bamer. He's helping out Robertson, and he says they have 3 guards that have the build of Gagne, and then they also have a 6'6" post. So obviously matchups wise, it's going to be tough a little bit for them. And then Calero, who coaches there, has a track line of they win, and so they know they're up against something. But like you said, what they've done and the run they're on, it's not like we haven't seen this before, right? The team that gets hot late, which they are, and let's hope for the Beavers they go over there and get it done.
It's house money. Mid season, no one expected you to be here anyway. You're playing with house money. The pressure's on Chelan. The pressure's not on Tenino. They can play as loose as you want to play. Go up there in Wenatchee, have yourself a game, and try and steal one and move on. But there's no pressure on Tenino whatsoever. No one's expecting them to win that game.
How'd you guys feel about the seeding on the 1A tournament? Annie Wright 1, Royal 2, Linda Christian 3, Zilla 4, Kings 5, Seton Catholic 6, Meridian 7, Bear Creek 8. We'll just leave it at that. Don't need to get rid of the rest of them. But any Any thoughts on how that seeding shook out?
Well, I don't know if you followed the Zillow Royal game, but Zillow was up 24 in the title and lost by 14. So you think about they were up 24 and spilled it back, and Royal ended up winning that. That's why that seeding is the way it is. But usually when you're up 24, 25 points, you don't see it swing back that far.
Yeah.
And so obviously those are some solid teams, because I know Seton Catholic's pretty darn good. I've seen them live. So pretty good basketball teams right there, all in the top 8.
Yeah,
all right.
I think the same thing. I think you got powerhouse. Programs. Andy Wright's loaded. They're as loaded as any team in the entire state. And Royal's always good. Linden Christian's always good. Zillow's always good. Kings and Seton Catholic have really turned that Trico into a kind of a 2-horse race lately. So I think it's tough.
What do we got? A lot of private schools in the top 8 in the 1As. I guess that's kind of always the situation, though, isn't it?
Well, and then you got Fort Vancouver down there as 13, and they're the size school of what a 3A, and they get to opt down into the 1A on the free and reduced and all that stuff. So
yeah,
they're a big school playing down.
All right, interesting setup there. All right, yeah, 1A boys tournament starts Wednesday, March 5th at the Yakima Valley Sundome. Dylan will be there if Tenino is there or not.
Yeah, WFS will be there, so I'll be there either way, I think.
Yeah. All right, 2B boys. Here we go. How the seeding shook out. Columbia Burbank, number 1. Freeman, number 2. Reardon, number 3. Colfax, 4. Lake Roosevelt, 5. Toledo, 6. Adna, 7. Northwest Christian, 8. Other local teams of note. Napavine is the 9 seed. Rainier is the 13 seed. We'll start with seeding. Do any of those spots surprise you guys?
I think that our guys were a little bit surprised to see that we got 2 in there in the top 8. I'm not going to lie there.
Yeah.
I think if Napavine would have finished a little better, they would have been in there, obviously. But we do have 9 of the top. In the 3 of the in the top 9. So Coach Salmi, he's going for the long haul here. He's going over, and he's staying. He plans to stay and wait, but he knows he's up against Freeman, who I think was 4th in the 1A last year and didn't lose anybody. Okay. And then Chad could attest to this, that Reardon and Colfax are tough as heck, and then Burbank back. That is a loaded top 4 teams right there, and LR's no slouch. They're like Roosevelt in the 5 spot.
Yeah, I remember sitting there at the state basketball tournament last year, looking at it and going, those are easily the top 4 teams in the state a year ago. You knew Freeman was going to drop down at that point. A year ago, we already knew Freeman was coming down, and so you knew right then and there, like these are going to be your top 4 teams. It's going to be absolutely loaded. I thought last year the state tournament overall was a little down talent-wise, but you knew those top 4 teams were coming back loaded, and now it's the exact opposite. Now I think it's an absolute loaded 2B tournament. These teams can compete in the 1As easily, maybe aside from Andy Wright. These teams could go in the 1As and compete in the top 4.
All right. Do you feel like the C2BL is down compared to the rest of the state talent-wise?
I think they would tell you that.
Okay.
I think they would tell you that it's down. The star power is a little bit down. We've seen the best of the best come through here, the good MVPs and all those teams come through. And, Cody Young's coaching with me now, and he gets after it. And I just remember those games, and just a little bit down. It's not a bad thing. It's made for a really good league schedule this year. I thought the parity across, you throw Ani and Winlock in there with that mix of 4, they've actually battled in there. Winlock has given teams all they want. So is it down? Yes. But does that make it that they can't go over there and win games? No.
Yeah.
No, I think it's definitely down. Anybody that's watched over the last 20, 15, 10 years, you can see it's down. But I also look and I say Toledo's getting almost everyone back. Adna's getting almost everyone back. Mossart gets almost everyone back. Winlock gets everyone back. So the league has a chance to be much better. Toledo, if I didn't say Toledo gets almost everyone back. There's teams that are really young right now, so it's a chance for guys' stars sort of to rise, whether it's Salmi or Klein or Fallon or whoever, right, to step up into those roles and be real big stars next year. There's a chance for that. But overall, is it down? Yeah. But you go over to Spokane, and, Coach, I know you know this as well as I do, and you guys have seen it. You get over there in the state tournament, and you never know who steps up, who shrinks. There's guys you've never heard of go off for 30, and guys that average 30 all of a sudden have 6. Yeah, because the light gets too bright. And so you get over there and you throw your hat in the ring and say, hey, let's play. and you never know. Salmi is a coach who has been there. Fallon is a coach who has been there. These guys they've been there. They know how to win in that arena. They know how to prepare their teams for that arena. And so if they went over there and knocked some teams off and made a run, that wouldn't shock anyone.
Yeah.
And I think
Napavine's been there as a team. They've been there. That group has been there before too, a couple years in a row now.
Yep. And they made a deep. I think they were 5th last year. Salmi's group was 4th, but we have a lot of sophomores, and so this is a taste for them. This is where they want to go in the next 2 years. And so if they could steal one over there and get into double elim or something like that, I think that would be huge for this group. Same with Toledo. Same with Napavine. Napavine, I assume, is going to win their game, and then it's a tough test against that 1 or that 8. But if they can just get those kids a taste, I mean, it's going to pay off the next year because they know how to travel.
I 100% subscribe to the you have to get there before you can get there philosophy. When we went back-to-back state titles. We went over there. People forget we went over there the year before that. We're out in 2.
Yeah, I was there. I remember that.
We graduated.
They were 2 good, tough teams too.
We graduated 1 guy, brought the lot back, and we come back undefeated and dumped undefeated St. George, and then went on our own run. But I think if we don't get there the first time, it gets much harder to go over there and try and win it the second time. So it's huge to get over there once ahead of time before it's really your turn to try and really compete.
All right, let's go through the local matchups. Number 2, Freeman, is 18-2. They play Adna, the 7th seed, which is 19-5. What does Adna need to do here? This is in West Valley, Spokane on Friday night at 6.
It's a size difference. I think they got 6'7", 6'6", 6'4", 6'4". I mean, they're huge, and they gotta keep him off the glass, and he knows that, and he knows he's up against a Goliath here. But at the same token, he's not disappointed. In where he sits. He likes both roads. If he wins, obviously, it's a big deal. If he can't get over the top, he doesn't mind where his bracket sits with Liberty Bell sitting there at 10. So he's prepared for both scenarios, and he knows what's going on. But you know what? That's why you play the game.
Yeah, I think Edda's got to go over there. They got to shoot the piss out of it. I mean, they just have to shoot the ball. They just have to absolutely have to shoot the ball against this team.
Yeah.
And then I think you absolutely touched on coach's rebounding. I mean, if you look late in that game, right? Well, who gets the rebound and put back that just kind of seals it, right? That's Cooper Fallon. Gets a rebound. He's a smaller player guarding him. Gets an offensive board and a put back underneath. And that doomed him right there. Yeah. So they're undersized. Especially when it's Muller, right? The big kid Muller. When he goes out, they get really small. So they're gonna have to shoot the piss out of it in order to stay in it.
Yeah, the big boy Knittle goes out. We're real small.
Or Knittle. I'm sorry. That's what I was thinking of. Knittle. I'm sorry. I said the wrong name.
Nope.
Muller's the senior. The senior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But when Knittle goes out, they get a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna have to shoot the crap out of it and try and battle as best they can on the boards. There would be up against it there on the glass, though.
All right, the next one with some local interest behind it. Number 3, Reardon, 21-1 record versus number 6, Toledo at 22-3. This is at Cheney High School. Beautiful Cheney on Saturday at 2:00. Yeah, do you guys like Toledo's odds here? The one comment on Toledo is every time I see a photo gallery of them and see a picture of the Fallon kid, I think, Jesus, what a monster.
Right, and if they can play their pace, and pound it inside to the big guy, and those guards can prove that they can make threes. I think they can hang. I don't know, obviously, if they can win because of the athleticism of Reardon and things they do, but standing in there physically, I think physically they match up a little bit better when it comes to a physical standpoint, 1 through 5, with Fallon inside. They're going to have to prepare for him. You never know. You get him in a little foul trouble, maybe things swing your way. But once again, nothing to lose type game for Toledo going over there. Reardon, Freeman, and Colfax have been there with Columbia all year long. So, I think they can, if they can get at their pace, I think they can be in it.
I think if Grady's a very, very good coach. He's been out a long time. But what he's particularly great at is coaching man-to-man defense. And that's known throughout the league. And one thing about the state tournament is defense travels. You can get into a gym sometimes and not shoot it well. But if you play good defense, that's pretty much true on the road or at home. They can go out there and they can defend. Now, can their guards handle ball pressure? Can their guards knock down some shots? Toledo guards were shaky as hell in the first quarter and a half of that game. Then all of a sudden, right? They start knocking down a couple shots, and then all of a sudden they play to this momentum, right? And then they swing the game. But if they can score a couple baskets, and then defensively, Toledo's going to play tough man-to-man defense. There's no secret to what they do, and they're fairly sound in doing that, and hopefully they can keep the game close, and then maybe knock down a couple clutch shots. Really the same philosophy they just used against Adna, and try to apply that to Reardon.
Yeah. If Toledo loses that one, they will be in a loser-out game Wednesday against either LaSalle or Okanagan. Do you guys know anything about either of them?
Okanagan's huge. I mean, they've beaten Napavine this year. They've beaten Adna in a Christmas tournament. I want to say Napavine by 10 or 12, and beat us pretty good over there. Kind of a weird game. Officiated. There was multiple technicals called by both teams. Just kind of one of those Christmas type games. But they're huge. The quarterback that's going to Boise State plays. They're huge. I think that's a team that I wouldn't mind playing in the arena. One, because they've never been there.
Yeah.
And two, because they don't shoot the ball very well. And so they got to play inside and beat you with their size. They don't really beat you with guard play. And so I think Toledo can stand in there with that, the size a little bit, and then they have better guard play.
Yeah.
When was the last time Okanagan made a run in basketball, boys basketball?
That's what I'm saying.
Right? So,
like Jimmy Townsend, maybe?
We thumped them by like 50.
Yeah.
When we played them, like literally 50 in a state tournament game, which is unheard of. I think Julie was good. His sister was good. She had a great career, but Jim was a football guy.
Yeah.
I just don't know that there's been a lot of years when they were supposed to be good in that district, not even made out of districts.
Well, and they had a good start, and they're fifth. They got fifth out of that district over there, and so that's why they're sitting where they are.
Like I said, I don't hate the draw for Toledo. I really don't. I think it's gonna be uphill. It's gonna be hard, but I don't hate it. There's worse draws to get.
How much of an advantage once Toledo gets to Spokane is it to have a dude like Cooper Fallon in the middle? It feels like you always get a bump off that just coming in there, and there's going to be a number of other kids in there that don't know how to shoot, haven't adjusted to shooting in the arena yet. Those games tend to slow down and get to be real low scoring a few times a day anyway. Is that a big advantage you guys would look for?
I mean, I can speak for me on the boys' side. I've been very fortunate to have good bigs.
Yeah.
Going to Spokane, whether it was Matthew or whether it was Josh, where we've had just like all-state caliber bigs. So, but I will say this: the state tournament is a funny bird, and it depends. It will, and I would tell this to Grady. I would say this to Cooper too. It really depends on who's reffing your game and how they're reffing it, because they have I think at the state tournament they have a hell of a time reffing bigs.
Yeah.
They will foul them out of games, but in the games when they let them play, right? Then I think the bigs have a chance to be dominant. But I think I've been in plenty of situations where they've absolutely reffed some of the best players in the tournament out of games simply because they can't ref bigs well. So that's
you just don't see a lot of them anymore.
All right, and then the other game with local interest. Where'd my thing go here? Napfine LaConner. Napfine 21-3, LaConner 14-9. What do you guys think about Napfine?
They're athletic, and
Denault's pretty good.
Yeah, when they shoot the ball, when Chambers and Landrum can shoot the ball and keep that pressure off them, they're pretty darn good. But they can be streaky a little bit. But I like their chances here. Obviously, I really like them winning easily. But sometimes I can attest this from my team. Sometimes I think they settle for outside shots when. I know Denault can go and just rise over anybody inside, and so if they apply the pressure, and I saw them even late in the Toledo game, they applied more pressure and started picking up the tempo of the game. If they can get in that helter skelter and use their athleticism, I like their team.
Yeah. I mean Denault. I mean they might have arguably the best athlete in the tournament. In Carson. Carson's a ridiculous athlete. He reminds me of a much shorter. Matt Poquette in the way that it plays above the rim, and there was in the same way that Matthew did, just not as tall and as long, but similar athleticism. But yeah, I mean they've got to have guys take some of that pressure off of Carson. And you're right, Coach. They got to play with tempo. I mean, you have some athletes on that team, and you got to let those athletes be athletes. So hopefully their coach can get them out there and put them in positions to allow them to play fast. Because I think the faster that they play, the more pressure they can put on the other team because they are more athletic than most of the teams that they play.
Chad, question for you. Napavine's got a first-year coach taking over for a guy that had a lot of success over a long time, and he's moving up from being an assistant
I know
coach.
something about that.
Any insight
Somebody read the
into
notes.
to what that's like?
It is hard. It is. I mean, it is hard to, for me, and I took over not only for Tony, he just did a great job. Tony was outstanding. Learned a lot from him. And then I'm going up against Rex. I'm going up against Swanson. I'm going up against all these Grady. I'm going up against all these Luke saw me, all these established coaches in the league, and it was a trial by fire. And you learned you either got your ass whipped or you figured it out. I didn't have teams that were really ready to win right away. I mean, my first year there was no Matt Poquette. There was no there was none of those guys. Those guys were all gone. I think my entire roster, my first year coaching, had a combined 150 total points scored in their career. We were facing teams that had 2 or 3 players with more total points than individually as my team had, collectively. But you learn it. My advice, to any coach that's starting out is bury yourself in the work. You're going to have to, if you're not as good of a coach as the guys you're facing, which was certainly my case starting out, I was not as good as those guys. But I remember just thinking I'll just outwork them. I'll just put in more time than they do. I will grind until I'm giving everything I have because I have to do that in order to make myself even somewhat competitive as a coach. I'm sure he's done that. I don't know him personally. I'm sure he's done that. He's got his team. They've won. They made it. Despite losing players, they lost, players to graduation. Then they lose Kel Kelly. What a huge loss. That's a multi-year starter, team leader, and you lose him. And they still went to state. So credit to him for rallying his guys, getting guys to step up into different roles that maybe they were used to. He put his staff together. Now he's got to manage the staff, and he's got to manage an injury to a key player. That's a hard job.
I don't think we mentioned his name, but just to get it on the record, that's Eric Hirschman, the Napavine coach.
Yep.
Yeah, I think credit to him. He was not handed any favors necessarily. Like I said, to not you graduate somebody like James Gross, who's playing for me right now. 2,000-point score. You lose, Cale Stanley. You lose these guys that, and then you lose Cale Kelly, like I said, who you were counting on. You had all summer.
Yep.
He was part of your program all summer, and then right before season, you lose him.
Yeah,
He still went on to win the league title.
Yeah, what a huge blow. And to go on with the league title. Hey, great job. Obviously, he's done a really good job. So he probably doesn't need my advice. I didn't go to state my first year, so he's ahead of me.
All right, and then the other game with local interest, Rainier's the 13 seed with a 15-10 record. They're playing Tri-Cities Prep at 20-5 in a loser-out game. That will be at Richland High School on Saturday at noon. What do you guys think of Rainier?
I can't figure them out.
Yeah?
To be honest with you, that's the one team I've never been able to figure out. If you're playing them, you don't want to play them. But then if you're not playing them, you're like, I wouldn't mind playing. It's a weird deal. Kind of Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, it's whether or not they show up, keep their emotions a little bit, and do those things. I'm super proud of Shafe. Known him for a long time, and I know the work that he's put in, and very, very proud of him for getting that team there. But like I said, you're not sure sometimes what you're going to get there with those guys.
I agree. I've known Shave graduated the same year. We were seniors, both going to state with our teams. So he's the same age as me. I've known him for forever. Same with Luke. I mean, we're all the same. We were all in the same kind of group there. So we played each other a lot. And yeah, I talked to him after his game there on Saturday. Yeah, proud of him. In fact, we texted today. You're really proud of him getting there. And Rainier is exactly what you said. They gave me fits. We managed to win. I had good teams. We were taking trophies home at state and playing Rainier. And every time I'm like, on paper, probably should win by 25, and then we ended up winning by 6.
Right.
And he damn near dumped us in the opening round of the state tournament the year we won the district title. Mm-hmm. I mean, he gets his teams ready to go. They play hard. If they can when they're playing confidently and together, I think that's probably two of the big things is playing confidently together. They can be a tough out because they have some guards or athletics. They can knock down some shots.
Yeah, they can line up with almost anybody.
But then there's times when they don't do that, and then they're susceptible to getting beat by almost anyone too. So they're a real momentum team, and they go over there and catch fire.
Yeah, they got to like their draw there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Before we move on from the 2B boys bracket, do you guys want to get a takeoff? Who's the favorite? If you were a betting man, If you were betting men, where would you place your money on this bracket?
I
Same as you, I'm sure.
Columbia just scores. Like every time you watch them, it's whether or not they get enough stops. Because I won't say that they're the best defensive team, but they just score every time they make a trip down the floor. Like they find a way. But they also have been there. This is probably their third, maybe fourth time, and they haven't quite gotten over that hump there. I honestly, with Freeman being able to stay close to home, and I'm taking Freeman.
I'm taking Columbia. I think it's their time. I think they absolutely have to do it. I was very fortunate. We never faced them over at State when I was coaching. They were always there, but we never lined up. So I never even had to. It was never even a situation where we might play them. So I never even scouted them while I was over there. But I watched them play a ton. Guards are big. They check every box that you want checked. I think it's their time, and they know it. They're going to be playing with a certain amount of desperation there. I think it's theirs to lose. I would, if they're championship or bust. I think it's theirs to lose.
All right. Before we move on to the 2A girls bracket, we got to talk about Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery. How are you guys doing on furniture? You need anything?
No, I'm tired of spending money on that stuff.
Chad has been kind enough to bring his significant other with him, and she is just waving a hand right now. She wants a new entertainment center, Chad. Where are you going to get it? You're going to get it at Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery at 1530 South Gold Street in Centralia. I know it's a long drive for you coming all the way from East Louis County, but trust me, it's worth it.
We drove a moving van here just so we could stop there on the way home.
You know what? I heard they're going to stay open late just for you.
Good people over there.
Visit elamshf.com to learn more about all their sweet deals. All right, the 2A girls bracket. This one was interesting just because looking at the seeding, initially I saw it and I was like, WFS at 4, that seems low. Then you look at the top 3 seeds, Linden at 1, Ellensburg at 2, Deer Park at 3. Those 3 are all undefeated. Ellensburg had their championship streak interrupted last year when they lost to Linden in the finals. So you know what? Maybe those top 3 teams are worthy of their spots. And then the 5, 6, 7, 8, Archbishop Murphy, Prosser, Columbia River, and Bainbridge. What do you guys think of those top 4?
Is Tim Revay coaching at Ellensburg girls still?
Yes.
Is he still?
He flies to your games, and then he flies home and coaches.
I've seen him there.
His daughter's playing at LCC.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
I think when I look top to bottom here, I've seen Burlington play when they played Annie Wright earlier in the year. I've seen Prosser play, and Prosser always gives Ellensburg anything and everything they want. Those top 7. Okay, Columbia River's a step below, but Prosser is good too. Those top 7 are all really, really good teams. I think Linden's a little bit ahead of some of those, but you take the rest of them, and they're all very close.
All right. Dylan, any thoughts? I know you've been following WFS pretty closely this year. How do you like that top 4, how it broke out?
I've kind of thought this all year. I assumed WFS would get the 3, but I'm not totally shocked to see them at the 4. Chris has talked to me about Deer Park just over the course of the year, talking ball. That doesn't shock me. When talking about WFS, expectations for Yakima with like Zach or Cody or anything, I certainly think that's a team that has the talent to get to Saturday, not just to a placement game, possibly to the finals. But it all kind of lines up. When do you go against Deer Park? When do you go against Linden? And when do you go against Ellensburg? Because specifically Linden and Ellensburg are just, they're the 2 best teams, obviously by seeding, but you got to get through them if you want to win a state title.
The guard play, it's always been, everybody just talks about Julia and all that. Yes, she is what she is, and she's a great player. But now they have guard play, and they got the back girl, and they got everybody else that chips in. When you look at box scores, everybody is. She kind of has they're gonna do something, I think, and I think I watched them close the other night against a Columbia River team that was supposed to be up there, and it wasn't even close. And I think in the years past, that game might have been closer. And I think this team is geared up to go. And what hurts them is their league schedule. They win every league game but by 35 or 40 here for the last month. And so they haven't been really tested. And so I felt like that district title was their first test in a long time, and they rose to it. And so that tells me a lot about what they are right now.
And that district title came against a team that is number 7 in the state tournament.
Exactly.
So not a pushover or anything.
And it was a rematch from last year where it was tied with about 4 minutes left, and then WFS kind of went on a run to win by 10 or so. But yeah, you mentioned the guard play. That's something Karnofsky talked about at the beginning of the year preseason. Beck and Klopak are now sophomores after having good freshman seasons. Beck's taking that next jump, obviously. Simpson can drop 5 threes any given game.
Yep, has good length.
Amanda Bennett doesn't score a ton, but she does everything else well. She's set a assists and steals record, I believe, already, and she may get the game started record by the end of this tournament. I'd have to double check with him, but yeah, it's a deep team.
And they bring the best defender on their team, probably is the BB girl that comes off, and she goes in there and does her thing.
Just flies around, Energizer Bunny.
So I like WF West this year.
All right, and then just like we did with the last one, who do you think the favorite is on this bracket? Does Linden deserve the number 1 seed? Are they the favorite?
Yeah, I think we played White River early in the year, and they went up there, and I look at those scores, and I know what White River is, and they're the 3 seed in the 3A, and Linden, they're the favorite. I think combined with their boys, I don't know that they've lost either team this year.
What the hell goes on in Linden? That's
I don't know.
Jesus,
it's amazing. Linden Christian, just all those.
Archbishop Murphy is 22-2, or 22-2, or 23-2. Their 2 losses are Linden and Linden Christian.
Yeah, it's a strong. What is the Dutch up there?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's like was it Sunnyside Christian, right? Same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Right. The Sunnyside Christian had their runs when right at the end of the 2, right when it was just B, and then it became 1B and 2B.
Mm-hmm.
That little run that Sunnyside Christian has all the Dutch kids there too.
Yeah, was it? Didn't you
Sunnyside's in the
play
B
college
girls
ball with
bracket.
one of those Sunnyside Christian?
Lance Dambor.
Yeah,
Yes,
there you go.
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
bad.
not
He's now
not
the
bad.
Zilla AD, so he's a part of that
is he?
Zilla program.
Really? I didn't know that.
All right, shall we move on to the 2B girls bracket? And the seating committee really just disrespected the hell out of the Central 2B League here. Brutal stuff. You hate to see it. The top 8, we'll just go through the top 8 seeds. Number 1, Rainier. Number 2, Adna. Congrats, Chris.
Yeah, that's a great job by you, by the way. That's outstanding. 2 seed is very, very good.
Number 3, Brewster. Number 4, Reardon. Number 5, Napavine. Mount Vernon Christian 6. Cleolum Roslyn 7. Northwest Christian 8. And then Mossy Rock at the 14 seed. So, yeah, were you on the seating committee? Can you talk about it if you were?
I was not.
Okay.
Shane is on that, though.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, Rainier at the 1, Adna at the 2. Obviously, you guys have some very recent history. You played 2 days ago. What does it say about your teams and the league that the seeding shook out that way?
Well, we had 12 non-league games this year, and Rainier, Adna, and Napavine all played. I have wins against all classifications except 1B. So Auburn Mountain View, who's still in it, White River still in it. 9 of my 10 non-league games are in the state tournament, and that bodes the same for Rainier and Napavine. So we all went out and scheduled tough non-league games. And when you look at our opponent's winning percentage, and I don't like the RPI, but when you look at the opponent's winning percentage column, the teams we played won 65% of their games.
Yeah.
And that tells you that we went out and did what we needed to do in order to get where we're at right now. And that's for all 3 of us. So I guess it worked out seating wise. And I don't think that any of it's wrong as far as where we're at right now.
Okay.
Hey, and by the way, great job by you and your AD to get those bigger schools to play you. That can be a challenge. I know we went through that with MWP a handful of different times of trying to get, like, we'll come to you, just play us. And there's some local teams, bigger schools, local here that would not play us, wanted no part of it.
Yeah.
So credit to you guys for doing whatever it is you did to make that happen, because sometimes that is hard for a small school to go play big schools because there's nothing in it for them.
Yeah, the Christmas tournament was awesome. We got Olympia and Tumwater and both Montesanos and all of them. I mean even Wahkiakum, who's in the 1B, they threw their nose in there and did their best, And so I think a lot of people have too much pride to play, but it's like when you're talking girls basketball, it's very hard to find good girls basketball parity. And so you have really, really tough teams or teams that are trying to build. So that allowed for Tudor Lake and Ani to go find 12 non-league games. That's why they were so high in the RPI early, is because they were able to go find winnable games that were competitive for them and on down the list. So the goal of our league was to everybody could push themselves to try and build their programs where they needed it to be.
Well, just credit for you guys, because it is Take some courage to put yourself out there. I remember when we played Zilla, we were both undefeated coming off state title games and state title wins, and Zilla was willing to play us.
Yep.
You know, and
They
we went
will.
and played them in Yakima. And that was, you know, credit to Zilla for saying, hey, yeah, we'll put our record on the line against you. But we tried to do that several different ways, and teams that weren't always willing to do that for us. So good for you guys for challenging yourselves and then finding teams willing to battle like that.
All right. What was it like between you guys and Rainier and Napvine this year during the regular season? It felt like you guys were all kind of just going around and around each other.
Yeah, well, not a lot of league play. We play one time,
yeah.
and so that's tough. And we got Rainier at home. You know just as well as I do. We went to Napvine. Neither of us played well offensively, right? And we won that, and then they went up there, and actually Rainier got Napvine pretty good up there by about 18, I believe, or something like that. So. Like I said, Rainier is able to line up with us. It's funny. A lot of this has to do with matchups and how you match up with people. And they match up with us really well, and we know that. We battled at the beach. We've battled at the hub. We've Freeman plays on the same select team as a couple of girls on that team. I mean, we've seen each other, whether they play 90-10, Hoop Stars, Roots. It doesn't matter. Both teams have 5 girls on the floor at all times that put in the extra time and play select ball. And that goes for Napvine too. So I think the state of girls basketball for our 3 programs is pretty good.
You mentioned Freeman. That she previously played somewhere else, right? Did you want to mention something about that to Dylan? I have been giving him shit about this for months.
I think this goes back to Josh too.
For like 2 years, every time it came up in a story, it was like, who previously played it? It's like,
I know.
guys,
how many times I got to say it?
The thing about it that bothers me, and I don't want to dunk on Dylan too much here, is you could make that same note about one player in any gamer you are writing. There's one at every school. There's been one at every school, and people have complained about it for going every direction for years.
Correct.
I swear it's subconscious. I don't always. Sometimes I do it on purpose, just to get to him.
Right.
But it's not always.
That's right. In my notes, I have a list of who's been where and what, and so I mean, it's because of her stature, and she's high octane, and so.
And she had a sister that was a big time star as well.
Right.
But how has she been playing? She was dinged up a little earlier.
Yeah, dinged up and then dinged up again. And the thing with her, she doesn't know how to shut her body down. So when she's not playing, she's still playing. And she's always in the gym. She was very frustrated the other night when we lost, rightfully so, in the gym till 11:30 that night. When I left the school, Toledo was painting our rock. Let's put it that way. And so she was in the gym till 11:30. You don't find kids like that can channel their inner anger and put it back to what she's striving for. And so just trying to get her to manage her body and take time off and get off her feet is the hard thing with her. And very stubborn that way, but a good stubborn.
Let me 2 things here. One, I want you to know that our Mort White Pass players never one time painted the Adna Rock ever. Just put that out there.
I would like to follow that up with the fact that the time your Morton players painted the rock on the way into Morton and spelled champions wrong.
They spelled champs. Yeah, they called me. They weren't 18. They needed more paint. So I said, okay, we're in the middle of paint, coach. We're out of paint, but they won't sell to us. We're not 18. I said, okay, I'll go just paint. So
did they spell it correctly?
I go up there and I will not out this particular player, but he spelled champs.
Here we go.
CHAPES. Chapes. To which I immediately put that on. I took a picture and immediately posted. I was like, hey, well, we study in the right areas, you know. But no, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about athlete students. See about this. So Freeman, you have the Dalen girl there. Is it Dalen or Dalen? I never know how to say it.
I think it's Dalen.
Okay,
I believe it's Dalen.
Okay, so I was thinking about this today, actually. Not to compare, but where does she rank all time? The Freeman girl, all time. Coming through, let's say, Lewis County or the central or the greater Lewis County area. We're old enough to go back. I mean, you and I grew up with our district and our league.
Right.
And AVT, you've been out here for a long time. Where does she sit? And I know it's hard because you're ranking a girls' current. That's a little bit unfair question. But who would you put at the top of that list? Who is the best girls' player to come through? Silence. Look at that. Quiet at AVT. I know who mine is, but mine is way before your guys. I'm older than you guys.
For me, coaching, and I can speak over 14 years, right? Because I wasn't watching girls basketball my whole life, obviously, other than when my sister played. But when I first got here, players that stood out to me that had, you had to really prepare for like that, were athletically, Alyssa Brooks Johnson, athletically
Absolutely.
was as good as anybody athletically. Basketball wise, no, she wasn't as good as what Carson is, but athletically, she could stand in there with anybody and do anything.
She had a good athletic career post high school, didn't she?
She actually just got the
Feels
Wazoo Hall
like,
of Fame.
Feels like it worked out for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, basketball was like kind of like her third sport. Yeah.
Exactly. You had the Autumn Durans. You had Molly Olson.
Yeah.
You can talk about Souvenir down at Wakayakum. You can talk about Woodley. You can talk about those type of players. But what makes her unique is you don't see girls shoot jump shots or step back jump shots. And so she stacks right up there with the best of them. She has a long ways to go. I don't know where she's going to land on her feet collegiately, but her and Julia Dalen and Angelica and all those girls play together. They're on the same select team, and that would be a really fun team to coach, obviously. So she's right up there at the top.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, that she had to be right up there near the top. Obviously, my all-time, it goes way too far back, would be probably Ginny Ruff.
I figured that's where you were. Monster Rock,
played
right?
the WNBA. Yeah, Monster Rock, probably the most storied girls program in our area. I mean, they've probably produced some of the best players, and then I haven't looked at the stats, but you might have the most state trophies too. I mean, they've put through the 80s and 90s.
Yeah,
and
their
all the way
appearances
through.
in here are pretty incredible.
Yeah. They put out some ridiculous players. Maybe not the best team overall. I think that might go a different direction, but certainly some of the best players. And I think Ginny is probably the best overall. Only one girl's made it to the WNBA.
Yeah, there's your player right there.
I would the one I would mention that probably the best I covered, and not even so much just its basketball player, but just like an athletic specimen, would have been Nike McClure.
Oh yeah, Nike. Nike had a hell of a career too. Yeah, jeez,
she played
Yeah,
sets. I think she set like a single game block record. She did something like that at Wazoo.
Yeah.
But I just think back to like she transferred from Tenino to WF West and followed all the rules, and so she had to sit out her junior year and play JV ball. And so
That's
she was
unfair.
playing JV basketball after she had already committed to Wazoo. They won. They did not have a close game that year. She was a 6'3" power forward center that could. I think she could dunk.
she was ridiculous. I've forgotten about Nike. Nike was, god dang, she was good. And then she coached at what, Mexico State or something? In Mexico?
She finished up her career at like New Mexico State.
And then she coached there too for a minute, I think too.
I think so. She
Like-
might have
like
had
maybe
a,
like a
a little ball in
graduate
Greece or
coach.
something too. But like she ran track as well. And I think she went to state in like the 200 and the shot put, which is just a wild combination.
Awesome combo, yeah.
Well, that WF West girls team, they won it all, right? Tiana Parker and that whole crew.
Yeah.
That was the year after Nike.
Well, they won it. No, they won it Nike's senior year because they finally knocked off the Mark Morris twins.
Okay.
Got you Eaton's.
Did they win?
Yeah.
Did they win 2 and 3? Yeah, I thought Tiana
won-
Parker and that group won 1, 2.
They
after
won. I don't think Tiana. They won.
Talk about WFS.
that. Yeah.
They won 2014 and 2018.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Because then, Tom won. Tom Kelly won one.
Yeah. But Nike. Yeah, I'd forgot about Nike. I was thinking about that today.
Yeah,
Nike
she
was
had
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, she was great.
Pretty impressive player.
Yeah. So who'd you do in the boys side?
Oh boy. Just all time player we've seen.
Sure.
God, I hate to leave dead air like this.
This wasn't
It's
on
got to
the,
be a B
For
leaguer.
dramatic effect.
this
it's
wasn't on the
probably-
rundown, so I'm
it's
surprising you guys, I guess.
like it's as far as just like you're gonna be like, holy shit, I can't believe I just saw that. It's Walton probably.
I think Zach might be the best player to come through the county in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, you have maybe Casey Franzen. Casey was legit. Artem Wallace also goes D1. Ross Jorgensen out of Toledo also went D1.
Yeah.
When I was at LCC, Ross and Artem would come down in the fall ball. And at one point, there was Lorenzo Romar, Ben Howland. It was lined there. We had talent too. And so there was 11 D1, D2 coaches lined up there, and they would come down to open gyms. And Ross was playing overseas. But, there was some talent. Ross played in a summer league with us. And Ross was a pass-first guy when you actually played with him and got to know him.
Yeah.
He was pretty darn good. And so I
He
could
was a
bump
year
off
old-
and
he
play
was a
the
year
two.
older than me. I played against him.
Yeah,
growing
darn
up.
good. Fun to play with.
Yeah,
Like,
he gave me buckets.
yeah.
He scored like 30 a game his senior year or something. He was
Something
just
like
just putting up.
They beat us at the Buzz. No, yeah, his senior year. They beat us at the buzzer in a Christmas tournament game. Back when Christmas tournaments didn't count for anything, you could just play as many Christmas games as you wanted. It was different back then. Yeah, we had a little. I think we had a little fisticuffs in that game too.
Yeah, and prior to us, the central connection with GE Coleman and Gill, like, was it the guy at Ani? Was it like Ron? Was it Vandershoff? Maybe?
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Yeah, because
that's prior to my time.
Yeah, Gil Coleman Ani connection. Yeah, going back to Central, and so yeah.
Yep. And I know he was.
Yep,
really
he was good. Obviously, Bill Backmus was great.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Zach was right there. Casey Franson obviously was right there. But Zach goes undefeated as a starter, right? Goes however many in O.
Yeah, because he came off the bench that first year over state.
Yeah, he was an all league player. I think second team all league off the bench.
Yeah,
for us. I mean, that's how much talent we had back then. But yeah, and then Zach goes undefeated as a starter, back-to-back state titles. Goes plays D1, plays in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
as a starter, team captain on the NCAA tournament team, and then goes and plays overseas a bunch. But I think Zach's probably the best, most recent for not taking like Detlef and some of those guys like that.
Yeah. I think so. Zach was just like that state tournament around his senior year was probably was pretty good.
It was definitely one of those tournaments where you just looked and you go, well, if we don't get food poisoning, we should probably win this thing. You know?
Yeah, pretty solid team.
And even if we do,
bench mob still might get it done.
All right, so let's see. We haven't touched on Napavine very much. Napavine's the 5 seed, and 5 feels a little like. Could you make an argument for them being any higher than 5?
You could. Their losses are either to us or Rainier, and then the tough non-league schedule. So they don't have bad losses at all. They have beaten Elam, who we play, and so that's probably why they're bumped ahead of them. The odd one is the 6th seed in this tournament. It's a Mount Vernon Christian team that hasn't played a tough schedule at all. They're in a 1B, 2B split with Concrete, Darrington, LaConner. They have a ton of wins. Their most Rainier beat them by about 25 earlier in the year. Their best win is against 11 seed Oakdale, 44-38. So I think Brewster in this whole thing got a really nice draw here. I'm not saying that Mount Vernon Christian shouldn't be where they're at, but to me, they rewarded district title winner there. More than that. I think Elam should be up the hill a little bit. But if they were up the hill at the 6, they wouldn't put them against the 3. Shane probably would have had a drop to the 6 and then put them at the 5 against Reardon, so you're not playing your own district.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say it, but I'll say it. That District 1 up there is just, they're typically not very good, boys or girls. There was a time, might have been right about the time you started coaching, when they were going to bleed into our district and come play their district games in our district. Yeah. Because they usually only get 1 allocation.
Try and steal it.
And then they would say, hey, well, you guys are getting like 5 and 6 allocations, because at that time we had so many teams in our district. And they were all set to do it, and we were like, "Sweet, come down, because we'll take that allocation from you as well, because you'll never have a team from up there go to state." And then they rethought it and stayed where they were at, knew that they could come down and compete.
And they combined with the Auburn Adventist and tried to get that. They got 2 bursts there. So
did they get 2?
The boys' side got 2.
They used to only get 1 up there. They might have stolen maybe one of ours, since we only get 4 now.
But yeah, Mount Vernon Christian and LaConner. And this is Mount Vernon Christian, to their credit. There's their first year in 2B. So they've been in 1B the whole time until this year.
All right. How much of an advantage is it for Napavine to have won it all last year and have, a couple of the key pieces back, at least, Count specifically?
Yeah, always an advantage. And the unsung hero of that whole thing's Evander. I mean, she's their best defender. She plays the 1. That's what makes them go. And when they play Reardon here, it's going to be interesting. Reardon has a girl as freshman that's a stud, and her sister's a sophomore. Reardon's kind of on the uptick here. They're kind of coming back to the Reardon of old. And is Napavine going to be able to create the tempo they want, to the helter-skelter? And I don't know if Reardon has good enough guard play, but I think they do. And so that game is really big. And here's why that game's big, because the way the bracket lays, the winner of that game will get either the 6 Mount Vernon Christian or the 11 Columbia Burbank in the quarterfinals. So whoever wins that game is probably going to the semis, in my opinion.
But Napavine's still going to put the best player on the floor, correct?
Correct. And when you always have the best player,
you got the best player, you got a chance to win.
Yeah. So that game is intriguing, and so I think the reason why that's flipped the way it is, one, Knapvine could have been the 4, but I think they rewarded a district title winner there.
Yeah. How do you like your draw as far as if everything shakes out chalk, aside from, if Knapvine upsets Reardon, you guys can avoid Rainier and Knapvine. Is that something you enjoy?
Yeah, I mean, we're like talking to my uncle this morning. You gotta go through them all.
Yeah.
And I like my draw. Okay. But I do also think Elam is the best team in that 6, 7, 8. Elam's pretty good. They have the Glondo girl and the Nichols girl that if I were to pick a team across the state, they're probably two of the top 10 players in the state are on that team. So we played them a few weeks ago in Adna, beat them by 8. And so that's the type of game you're looking at WFS. I mean, it is not going to be easy for us, and we know that. And nothing should be easy this time of year. So we got to rise to the occasion here, and hopefully we can come to play on Saturday.
I think you're right, Coach. Though I think that going over there, it's nice to be able to avoid them, not because you don't want to play them, but because some of the joy of the state tournament, and I think it's definitely true for players. I think it's also true for coaches, is to play someone else.
Yeah,
like that is part of the fun. Is going in there and throwing your lot against a team you've never faced before, would likely never face again, and that part is fun. And it's not as much fun to go 6 hours away and then play the team 10 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
It's less fun. The only time I think that's worthwhile is if you're being in the state title game.
Yeah.
And then it's worthwhile. Then it is a rivalry and you're playing for all of it. But to meet in the quarters is a letdown.
Yeah. So, and in that bracket, when you look at Rainier there, see, I think Mapton got snubbed there a little bit. I think I had Mount Vernon Christian as the 9 and then slide everybody up the hill. I had Mapton in. I mean, they're 21-4, I believe, or something like that. And 3 of their losses are to Elam. Okay. And so, I had them up in there. And so Rainier, playing Northwest Christian, I like Rainier there, especially if they're healthy. I love Rainier there. But if they're not healthy, I don't like if something were to happen to Rainier and they couldn't be healthy, playing Mapton in a loser out game at state the first day. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So us and Rainier have to both win. Otherwise, we will see Rainier in the quarterfinals if one of us were to lose in our regional.
And has there been any update on Rainier's health?
I don't know.
We're skirting around it. Dylan said he heard something.
Yeah, I mean, she got Brooklyn to me is their MVP of that whole team. She's their best defender. Mm-hmm. She runs the 1 for them. She's banged up with a calf, Achilles type thing, and I know one thing about her: she's going to play if she can. Yeah, and she's going to play.
Igerbrow told me straight up after they fear it's torn Achilles. Obviously, they hope not. I haven't heard an update. I tried to call him earlier.
Super
they were
young
hoping
for that injury,
hoping that it's a strain or something else because it. We kind of talked about this before, Chris. Yeah. She had ice on her ankle. And I was like, oh, and I saw her kind of limping a little bit. I was like, oh, maybe she just rolled her ankle or something. Yeah. And then I see her get carried out of the gym.
Yeah, and I felt bad because I didn't go say good game to her. I didn't think she was hurt of that stature. No, and so I texted him the next day and apologized, and then everything was good there. But hopefully she's back because you never want to see that for a kid that's put in that much time to play for this moment, And so hopefully it's just like a strain or something, and she can be back playing.
Yeah, that's rough. I always feel bad you only get so many opportunities as a player and as a high school player, and you don't want to see anyone get hurt. It's just bad. You just don't get those opportunities again. There's such a limited, finite time that you don't want to see anyone hurt. And hopefully she can make it back. That's just rough.
All right, and we have to talk about Mossy Rock as well. Mossy Rock got in. They are the 14 seed. They're going to play Columbia at 2:00. Richland High School on Saturday. Was Mossy Rock getting in a surprise? Would you have seen that, week 1 of the girls' seaon?
I know. I had Toutle Lake, and Toutle was the team that I thought was going to be in. I thought, the 2 Dean girls have been there, done it. They have Thayer as well, who had been there, but they did lose all of their size, and Mossy's kind of gotten hot of late. I mean, they had to go through the backside of that whole thing. They lost
first round.
Lost the first round, and they had to go through the whole gauntlet in the back, and they got it done. So, great job by them. And I've seen Columbia a lot on film, and Mossy's going to pack it in there 2-3, and they're going to if Columbia can't shoot, it's going to be trouble. But Columbia Burbank, one of the losses, they were able to beat Mabton this year. So Burbank can stand in there with them. Mossy's going to travel. That'll be tough, but I hope for District 4 we find another team in there.
That's a good job by Nick, first year coach, taking over for Autumn. You come in there. It's a good job by him to, especially losing first round, to guide all the way through that district tournament, such a meat grinder.
And they're winning games like in the 35-25 range, right? That's kind of their MO.
Yeah, they did, except against Tudor Lake, they put up 50 and were able to do that. But athletically, they have athletes.
Yeah,
they're not all obviously what you would call like pure basketball players, but they're athletic, and so they can put 5 athletes on the floor and line up with people.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned, how low scoring their games have been. Their first round game against Ani, 30-20. That was the lowest scoring game in girls D4 history. It broke like a 43-year-old record. And then one of their consolation games against Forks, 28-26. That also would have broke the old record, but is now second to their own first round loss.
I can't believe that's how high I swear, I mentioned this before, but I swear I've seen District 2B girls games that were lower than that over the years.
There was a Morton girls team back before Morton White passed that held, my wife and I were looking at today, that held Clallam Bay at state to like 16 points in a state tournament game. So you've had state tournament games finish lower.
It must have been like a 9 a.m. game too, I bet.
Oh, yeah, right. One of those Egg McMuffin 8 a.m.ers or something.
Hey, I'll never judge anybody. I just put up 32 points. So there you go.
At least there's nobody there to see it.
Right, 100th year anniversary, just boom, 32.
All right, let's go on to the 1B girls state bracket, and it's time we give PL their flowers. PL is the 7 seed. They beat who? They beat Tola.
Tohola
50-38 in the finals.
That was their closest game of the year.
They have just kind of been rolling everybody. Chad mentioned this before, but they should feel a little slighted at the number 7 seed. What have you guys seen out of PL?
It's you got Phelps and you got Zoc, right?
Yeah.
But I also look at the league.
Oh, wait. Before I forgot to do this, I got to get it out of the way now, or I will have forgotten. Who's the favorite in the 2B girls tournament? You can abstain if you'd like, Chris.
I've got Edna.
All right, Dylan.
I also have Edna.
All right.
No pressure, kid.
Unless Swenson's healthy, I think I'd lead Rainier.
Okay.
But pending Swenson's health, which has still not been confirmed nor denied by Igerbrod.
All right. You know what? I'll take Edna too. We'll just put the pressure on him.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I went in as a 2C and got dumped first round. So you can do better than me. I will root for you to do better than I can.
But Brewster, when you watch Brewster on film, they can line up with anybody.
Yeah,
that's the team that, to me, outside of our own, if you watch them on film, they are good. The Bozo girl, they have everybody back pretty much from last year, and so they're very scary in my eyes.
All right. Okay, back to PL. What do you guys think of PL? How angry should they be that they are the 7th seed and the only undefeated team in the 1Bs?
You know me, ABT. You know how I
love your bulletin board material.
Yes, I'm the king of it.
Is Kelsey Lennox cutting out shit from the newspaper and just stapling it all over?
Yeah, that's I look for my motivation anywhere I can find it, and I'm 100% preaching that for the full week. I'm saying, hey, like the pressure is all on them. No one believes in us but us.
Yeah.
Right. No one thinks we can do it but us. We're undefeated, and we're undefeated for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm preaching the 7 seed slight as loud
as
I can.
And I hope they can go over there and win. But I've seen a lot of Waterville, whether it's at B&B camps. He runs all that stuff. They're tough. Mm-hmm. The reason they are where they are is because their winning percentage against opponents is 34%. Their average opponent's winning percentage is 6-14, 7-13.
Yeah.
Their only out of conference was Rochester. So that's probably, in my opinion, when the committee looked at that, that's probably why they got dinged. Was because of not playing much out of conference and testing themselves against even like a Toledo or maybe an Ani or a Toodle and seeing where they were at. There's not a lot of substance there outside of their league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% have no idea if they're underseeded or overseeded. I just know what I'm telling my team. If I'm the 7th seed, I'm undefeated. I know what my speech is.
Right. And the good part about that is they finally have gotten coaches back in there that care. You've got on her bench, you got Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got Donna Robinson and you got Claiborne Lusk.
Yeah.
So you have 3 coaches together, and so it's not by surprise they are where they are. You finally have 3 people there. They were going through a lot of different coaching changes there for a long time, boys and girls, and they have stability.
Jeez, Lusk is a state champion.
There's everybody knows there's only 5 people in PL that are allowed to coach basketball. It's those 3 and like the Phelpses.
Yeah.
So,
And Chris Phelps isn't coaching
And
this
Fitzy.
year.
You got to
but
get Fitzy in there.
Fitzy,
Yeah, no doubt.
Chris Phelps isn't coaching this year, but he is the #1 loud and proud PL girls basketball supporter now.
That was
cheering on Carly and everyone else.
That was how he was all the time before he started coaching. And so when he took the job initially, he took the girls' job 10 years ago or so. And I found out it was him, and I was like, oh God, he's going to be a pain in the ass to work with. And he was absolutely great as far as a coach, calling his shit in.
Yeah.
He was always on time. He was just great, hell of a guy.
That's the construction in him.
Yeah.
Does he still paint his face?
I
think he painted
I
his
have not
face
seen
at
his
state
face
till he
painted
was
this year.
35. So I hope to God they make it. Between him and Patrick's blue hair in the band, it's a tradition.
gotta have a little
So-
color
so
over
They're
there.
top
yeah.
8. He'll be there
So
either
you
way.
tell me that
I love it.
that Spokane is going to be out of face paint and bush light both.
Yeah, exactly. They have ran out before over there because of the
Yes.
That was
the
the-
Valley
I'm
PL
I'm gonna have
boys.
to pop over
Yeah.
to Spokane. This
Oh,
sounds like a
God.
blast.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you get over, if PL's over there, man,
they're there.
It's
we
not
know
the,
they're there.
It's not that what the Viking now where everybody goes. What's the season
Dave's
ticket
Pizza
shut
there
down
below,
long
too.
ago?
I know where it is. I just don't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
I spent a good chunk of money there.
You got the Ram
last
that
year.
shut down, and then
Ticket is it
the season. It was the
Season
ticket a
ticket.
while ago. I
Yeah.
don't think the ticket's there
it's
anymore.
not. No,
Too bad.
I just know I walked over there several times all tournament long last year. I know that.
Hell yeah.
well,
I'd get mad and go over there.
and that group of the guys west of here, they open the Happy Time Tavern, at 6 a.m. They're ready at 6 a.m. And so if you got the 9 p.m.er by then,
Hey,
they're on it.
Be well lubricated.
who else is good in this 1B bracket? Do you know enough about the 1Bs, Chris, to give us a read on if Nia Bay deserves the 1 seed?
Yeah, let's put it this way. Rainier went up there 2 weeks ago and beat them by 4.
Okay.
So does that say
wow.
enough?
Yeah.
They're 2-time state champion. They're not as good as they've been. Rainier actually struggled in that one a little bit, and they still found a way to win. But they're the team to beat. And Waterville is interesting. They have a bad loss and they have a good win. They beat Brewster. Okay, so they beat Brewster when Brewster wasn't a little bit. They were not healthy, and they didn't have one girl back that ended up turning out late. So those are definitely the top 2. I think they got that correct. So Nia Bay is the favorite.
Is this the first year that Colton hasn't been in it?
It's been a couple.
Has it been a couple? I haven't followed maybe
Really?
the 1B girls as much, but it seemed like there for a minute they were
Yeah,
right. Didn't they win everything there for quite a while?
forever.
They had a long run. Yeah.
Right. I was just 1B girls. I'm used to looking for Colton. I'm like, and I don't see them.
Yeah. Wow.
And you talked about the league, and I'll extend this to the district. Tahola is the what's Tahola?
15.
Tahola's the
15
15.
seed.
Mary M. Knight is the 17, and Willapaw's the 19. Those are the 3 other 1B D4 teams.
Yeah.
all in that extra. I mean, the
They're-
first play. In.
Yeah.
They are all in
To get
winner
into
to
the
winner to state
9-16.
games.
Yeah, and they're traveling to ACH tomorrow. Those are actually, you get to play at your home site. So I talked to Jay this morning. They're going to shoot around at Kittitas tomorrow, and they're taking the long trek over to ACH tomorrow to play that. And if you win that, then they got to come back to Yakima on Saturday for the next one. So pretty tough. I mean, that's the hard part about this
Just
whole
to
thing.
get to the
You're in
first
state,
round of Spokane.
but are you in state when you're playing at ACH's high school?
What do you guys consider state?
You got to
Anything
get there.
on these sheets, or you got to get to Spokane?
You
gotta
got
get
to
there.
play in the arena.
Otherwise, it's just regionals.
Yeah, it's just regionals.
Okay.
No, the WIA has completely taken that away from all the kids.
Yeah.
They suck. I hate them.
Yeah.
I'm officially obligated to report that it is state.
Yeah.
Is
But-
it?
Can I make my annual complaint about the sportsmanship award?
Oh, go on. How many of those have you handed out or been there for?
I don't know. I don't participate in it. Here's what I believe though. I believe the WIA is just terrible for making the player, especially the player who just lost, who got his or her heart ripped out in that particular game, walk out there and accept the sportsmanship award. You're asking a lot
Smile
of
for a photo.
15, 16-year-old kid. I think it's ridiculous that WIA does it. If any WIA officials are listening to this, you guys suck for that. Have the AD go out, accept on his or her behalf, and hand it to the player later on.
Yeah.
Do not make that player walk out there, pretend to smile, pretend to be happy, or end up like we had a player, District 4 player, throw his medal into the stands once.
Cody said he saw someone take his medal or his or her, I don't remember if it was a boys or girl game, and just throw it in the trash on the way to the locker room.
I've seen that. I've witnessed that several times. But you're asking a lot of a young teenage kid to go out there and do that. Stop doing that. Stop. Just have the AD go out, accept it on that player's behalf, and give it to the player when they're in the right frame of mind to accept it for what it is. But the virtue signal crap, it's got to stop. It's unfair to the kids. You're putting them in a horrible position just to make yourself look good. It's terrible. Last time I was at state tournament, 2 years ago, they was all sitting out, and I was so tempted to steal them all and just take them. Very unsportsmanlike of me, but I still think it'd be the right move. That's my annual complaint about that tradition is just terrible.
That hot take is brought to you by Americool Heating and Air Conditioning.
Transitions, yes.
Call our friends at Americool Heating and Air Conditioning at 360-996-5806. If you need 24/7 emergency service, your comfort is their business, providing full-service HVAC installation services and repair with a 100% satisfaction guarantee on everything they do, just like Chad just takes. Check them out at west.americoolonline.com. Thanks for teaming me up for that.
Hey, I'm happy to dump on the WIA for how they run state basketball any chance I get.
You should have a conversation with Zach because he has a lot of thoughts about how the WIA runs things.
You and Zach in an argument would be just hilarious.
I've had this conversation with the people that run the WIA. I don't care. I don't care about their opinion. I just tell them what I think. I do not care for hurts their feelings. I've said it straight to their face many times. I would do it again if they were sitting here.
It was always such a downer to like watch a game and be covering it and be like, what did we get? Oh God, they're doing the sportsmanship thing again. Like, all right, come on.
I always forget about it. Like I know it. We always joke about it, and then I get there and I forget about it until it happens, and then I'm just like, oh man.
The ridiculous position they put those kids in. It's a ridiculous position to put them in. You expect them to act properly after just having their heart ripped out.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous to do. I mean that's just one of the things WIA screws up. But that's one of my more obvious low-hanging fruit ones.
I think if him and Zach had a conversation, I don't think it would be an argument. I think they're just going to agree on a lot of stuff.
They would eventually find something to disagree about.
There's no argument for it.
No.
That's the thing. Is there's no leg to stand on. They just do it to virtue signal themselves.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Speaking of Zach and I made a bet on this podcast a few weeks ago. What was the bet that any C2BL boys teams wouldn't beat in the semifinals, or was it specifically that Napavine and Adna wouldn't beat in the semifinals?
I thought it was specifically Adna and Napavine. He likes to make those where he doesn't know how the bracket will line up, and then he just takes his chances on how it lines up.
Is that within the realm of possibility? So Adna is
it boys or girls? Or both?
It was boys.
It's boys.
I wouldn't have made the bet on the girls' side. Because I'm not a fool.
Well, obviously it depends if they win or lose. They're regional.
It seems unlikely. Like, say Napavine wins.
Napavine will win.
Napavine will win. Okay, there's your hot take. Well, there's a take.
Well,
so they will play loser one, which is Northwest Richland, and then Adna will go. So Adna loses, they will be loser two.
Looking at this draw, I think they both have a reasonable shot. Adna and Napavine do to get to the quarters. I think Freeman will probably get the best of Adna, but then you gotta like their chances against maybe a Liberty Bell or Mount Vernon Christian and getting that win and getting to the quarters. Napavine, let's say they win, they play Northwest Christian. I've watched Northwest Christian play, I think, 3 games this year on NFHS. They have Avi West, 2,000-point scorer. The guy could absolutely fill it. He's a flamethrower. But I think the rest of, I think it's him and some dudes. I think if you can control Avi, who's a 4-year starter, 4-year state tournament participant, he will be a handful for any guard to guard.
Yeah, so in that scenario, they wouldn't see each other. If you pick Salmi or Adna not to get it done and them to get it done, they'd be opposite bracketed.
Yeah, that's kind of where I see it blacking out. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Zach is going to owe me two beers.
Zach, kind of random breaking news, but it is basketball related. If I told you guys Dylan Beck won FCO MVP over Julia Dalen, would that be shocking to you?
No. Did that happen?
It did happen.
What? Really?
Wow.
Interesting.
You know,
That
Oh, he's
is-
kidding. This is a live reaction. He just texted me back. Dude, we're on the he's going to be listening to this. He just texted me back.
that Zach did that?
Yes,
Zach put you on
Julia-
like that?
Zach got me.
You got punked.
I did live. That's crazy.
well, that's one.
All right, never mind.
That's 1 and 2. I mean,
Yeah,
those are the best
crazy.
2 players around.
Yeah,
so.
I could have seen an argument for like a co-MVP situation, but even then, like Beck's having a hell of a year.
yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that would have been wild.
Well, I'm glad he texted me. I'm glad we got the correction in because that would have been.
yeah,
Nice.
Now we got to
Yeah,
get.
I got punked. Good job, Zach.
It's a
got
tough
me.
one because Valley's not covered in this area anymore, but they did get the Valley boys got the 3 seed, and they play Tulane Heritage here on Friday night at 8. So that'll be good. The Whippaw Valley boys up here and Wahkiakum boys, and that 1B I've watched quite a bit just because I have family and whatnot, and friends, and I think the 1B with CAA, Valley, Ocosta, and Wahkiakum, they kind of represent D4 pretty good in the 1B.
yeah.
So
Who's the overall favorite in 1B?
the overall favorite is it's not Lummy, it's ACH.
Okay.
ACH
All right.
and Lummy.
ACH has been
Every
I
time.
mean, I remember back like when I was a kid, ACH had like Brooks McCracken and those. They were
Yeah.
ridiculous. He went D1.
And Welpenet's back in there in that 4-5 matchup. So
ACH beat us my senior year at state. So thanks for bringing up that name. That was awesome.
yeah.
All right. Before we get out of here, let's get one hot take from each. Your one bold prediction you want to throw out. Any of the tournaments we've discussed, anything we've covered, anything you want to get off your chest outside of potential discussions with WIAA brass that Chad is having.
Yeah, they know my name.
I'm gonna say WF West girls. I'm not gonna say they're gonna win it, but they're gonna make it the semi and have a chance.
I think they'll wind up in the finals. I don't know if they'll win, but I think they'll wind up in the finals. And I think I'm going to make a bold 3 C2BL girls teams in the semis. Can they get through? Is that possible? I don't know.
Yeah.
It might not be.
Right.
Here's my bold prediction on the 2B's boys side. And it doesn't sound like a bold prediction until you're familiar with the tournament. But I think this sucker goes chalk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, and 1 winning it over 2. I think this top 4 seeds, I think they're clearly the best teams in my eyes. I think it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way across, 1 versus 2 with 1 winning it. I think it's complete chalk, which is rare for that tournament, but that's my bold prediction.
What's the highest trophy we'll see out of a 2B boys local team?
6th.
Okay.
I was thinking somewhere along that lines too.
6th would be great.
Yeah.
I think they would feel fortunate if any team comes up with a trophy. I think that's a good showing by that team. I think they're just at least a year away. Those teams are a year away.
It'd be sweet to get a 5 and 6, but
Yeah.
the way it all lines out, it's going to be tough.
All right, Dylan, what's the sports guy schedule for state weekend? Well, let's go regionals and then state. Regional weekend is
regionals-
Friday, Saturday.
We only have 4 local regionals, and locals even kind of with an asterisk because one's at Mark Morris.
Yeah.
Navline's playing at Mark Morris for whatever reason. And then you guys, Adna girls are at WF West. PL, somebody else at WS. Who else? Anyways.
WF West girls will be there.
Yeah, and then the Rainier girls are at WF West, I believe,
Correct.
too. So those 4 are split across Friday and Saturday. We're still thinking about how to divvy that up. And then next week, Zach, Ridley, and Rube will be heading to Spokane,
Okay.
and I will be in Yakima.
Which Chronicle reporter is coming down to CBC in the Tri-Cities and cover my team?
How's
see if
do you
Josh
have
is
any other
available.
local kids down there? Is it men and women down there?
Yes,
We've actually got like the Hamilton
the-
kid
the
and Von
Hamilton
Moose
and
are
Von
all-
Moose. We got a
LCC.
couple weeks
You want a
LCC
hot take?
Girls.
Yeah.
The girls basketball team starts 4 B players. You have Ray and Niemeyer from Wahkiakum,
Okay.
Lauren Katernick from Nacelle, Carly Von Moose from Adna, and Morgan Hamilton from Napa Vine are all starters on Lucas's team right now.
And James
good.
Gross from Nevermind starts for us. He moved in the starting lineup 9 games ago.
Which is super cool.
Yeah, is he doing all right?
Yeah. He's under for 9-0 since he's been. We changed things around, moved him and another player into the starting lineup, and reeled off 9 straight.
You'd think an assistant coach would have seen that earlier in the season.
Yeah, a good one would, but yeah, he stuck with me.
While we're on,
That's good for him. That's cool.
while we're on the NWAC, there's a doubleheader here in Centralia, CC men's, women's. The women's have a chance to clinch a NWAC tournament berth. I believe they're facing Green River, or maybe it's Pierce.
I think it's Pierce.
I think it's Pierce.
Green River's playing SPS.
Yeah. So they'll play Pierce in a doubleheader when the women have a chance to clinch a playoff spot.
And they should win that one.
Mm-hmm. And you guys should definitely cover. I mean, we just have the one local. Well, because Parker Eiswald's a redshirt for us. We have one playing,
I
but
think Avery Schutz is redshirting for your women's team as well.
yeah. But so as far as on the court playing, I mean, the opportunity for the Chronicle to get down there to the Tri-Cities, since you guys won't be doing anything that weekend.
Send Zach down there. Send Zach to the Tri-Cities.
Zach loves to roam around the state. I'm sure we can
He
get him to
would
make
have
a
a lovely
detour.
time.
I can't expect you guys to go. You guys don't even go out to Morton, so
So far.
Don't blame him.
I hadn't seen you guys all day on.
All right. Anything else you guys want to mention before we get out of here?
No, I just appreciate having us on because this is cool because this is what we love. This is what we do. And there's been a lot of time put in by all these teams in this area. I mean, it's been, the summertime, all the work put in is for now. And, for all these athletes to be in the big time is great. So, starting with the Tenino boys, the run they're on, all the way to teams like Rainier and WF West that have been there all year. I hope the best for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I think what you guys do, truly, I mean, I know I pitch you guys a ton of shit, but what you guys do with with not only your coverage, but also with the podcast, is super cool. It's rare, I think, for small school sports. Even you consider the 2As as small school, which most people outside of our area do.
Yeah.
I think it's cool to have a podcast dedicated to the sports that they do. So it's a credit to you guys for doing that and covering all the schools you got to cover. Appreciate having me on again. I think this is my 8th year in a row doing it. Or something like that. I think I was still an assistant coach the first time I came and did this before I even took the head job, and then I'm not even coaching in the high school ranks anymore. But yeah, super cool that you guys do it. Have me on. I love coming here and talking hoops with you guys because it's the local hoop scene is still my favorite hoop scene of all time. So it's great.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and we're lucky to have you two guys that'll come in and just sit here on. Obviously, Chris, I'm sure that you have some planning to do right now.
We're
some
fine.
Gaming.
Yeah. That's why I got those 10 assistants on my bench for.
Who are all your assistants? Who do you have on there? You got
Let's see, we got 3 from White Pass.
what?
Well,
Who do you guys have?
2 at least.
For
We
real?
got Casey Dotson.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
we got
yeah.
Scott Albert.
Oh, okay.
Okay, his brother showed up one game and sat on the end just for fun, just to make fun of it. We got Patrick Richardson adding a guy, Mike Marty, who is longtime Quinault South Bend, my father-in-law. He's there. Got Cody Young back. He coached my JV this year. Kenya Lorton's there.
I saw Kenny Saturday at the game, but after your game got over. But yeah, this gets so crowded I couldn't make my way over to say hello to her. But I did see her there, and I saw Cody recently, and he still looks 17.
I know. Well, and that's the thing.
Luke's got to get him a uniform.
Well, subbing in our building the other day was Molly Olson. You had Peyton Torrey. You have Kenya Lorton. You got Cody. It's almost like it's time for me to go type of thing. It's like, yeah.
They just didn't get a pickup game going in the gym.
That's a solid pickup lineup right there.
Yeah, it's a lot of thankless jobs that they do, and people give crap for it and stuff, but it's amazing at practice what you can do when you have people like that. I can give my point guards to Cody for 10 minutes and let him work and let Kenya work because they've been there, done that, and so it's really nice to have help at practice.
But Coach, that's a credit to your culture, though. People want to be a part of a winning culture. If you have a winning culture, you will find that quality people will come seek you out to be a part of it. So that's a credit to the culture that you've built, that people want to come back and be a part of it. So you should take some credit for that.
Yeah. I don't like taking credit.
Well, I'll give it to you because it's not easy to get assistants, and so it's I think that's a big deal to have guys who want to be a part of your program.
It's the same thing we used to joke about in the office about Bob Wolin at WF West. He always had 20 assistant coaches. People just wanted to go hang out.
Yep,
it's good. It's a good problem.
I've
to
never
have.
heard anybody say anything bad about what he did. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I got Joel, the guy who's running my youth program, and he played for him up at Rochester. I mean, you always hear positive. He could take a kid that was very average or below
Yeah.
and make him something. And so you never felt like you were out in that program.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a cool dude. Yeah, we say was like he's dead. He's very much alive. He's just not coaching anymore.
Once
All right,
you're done
Rest in
coaching, you're
peace.
just dead.
He ain't dead, but
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get out of here on that. Again, it's great to have you guys on. I'm glad this has become a yearly tradition. Chad, did you enjoy the blue Hawaiian I made you?
It was solid. Hey, I'll drink almost anything. So yeah, it was just
Great.
It was just,
A ringing endorsement. Dylan, you finished yours off as well. I'm glad
I
it was
enjoyed
good.
it.
Chris, you're going to take yours for the road, right?
Yeah, it's like the PO Pub or Evie's. They ask if you want a Busch Light for the road.
Yeah, exactly.
you can
That's
take the kid out of Valley. You can't take Valley out of the kid.
Not happening.
All right. Good luck this weekend, and good luck in the playoffs, both of you guys.
Thank you.